really funny.
I hope so.
Oh my god.
I would that would make me extremely happy. Greetings, everyone. Welcome to another Brony Debates Live. I apologize preemptively for the state of my voice. I've come down with a little bit of a cold or something. But
How dare
we've
you?
got
I'm leaving.
Yeah, but we've got a really interesting topic tonight. We've got Cordero and Cruizer joining us again. How you doing tonight, guys?
Hey, what's up, man?
Hey, and we
Just
got
got
Lee
back from the gym and I'm feeling good.
Nice,
Me too.
good. And we got Lee Tockar joining us again. How you doing, sir?
I'm awesome, you guys, and nice to be hanging with you guys again. It's always
Yep,
always a good time.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to. I didn't want to debate with it as much with this topic. Maybe something with the debate will come up, but I would just kind of wanted to pick your brain because I am fascinated with the voice acting industry. I used to try, like my first choice of career was actually film, and I tried to get into that for a while, and I was into theater for a long time as a kid and early into college. And it didn't quite work out for me, but I want to hear from someone who was really experienced in it, what it was, what it was like, how to get in, and to expect for other people that might be trying to get in, and how it's changed over time. So before we get into that,
Sure.
I'm going to read
Yeah.
off my patron slide real quick because I am very grateful to everybody who financially supports this channel, and I'd love to have
Yay.
you on the show if you're not already. I got a $10 and up tier. There's a huge list I got to read. So thank you to Princess Heather Blossom, which is hilarious that she's still giving me $10 a month because she lives here. Shady Oak Ministries, Sid McConroy, Autoknight, Emerald Spencer, Senko, DJ Skywalker, Rein-Kun, Pony Cordero, who's with us tonight, QFlash, Billy Henline, Alden MacManx, EasyModeGamer, Cantor Acrylic VA, Mr. Sonic 31, Ridge the Hedgehog, Alicia Lynette, Zeta Z, Sniper Nighter, Calbeck, StarChaser, VentureCorp, and Dark Malcontent, and executive producer of Titan Art Studios. Check out all of their links
Wow.
in the description as well.
You forgot to change my
Now-
name.
Esquire.
You forgot. Mine's changed to Pony Cordero, handsome author of the first Equestria Girl series.
Handsome author of the first. Okay.
I think
Author.
you might want to add humble in there.
Yes, handsome and humble.
Handsome, humble. I just
Now,
Just-
before we begin though, Brony, shouldn't there be footage of Lee playing right now on your live feed?
We don't usually have that.
It's always just the still image. What are you talking about?
Well, you said I suggested it to you because I figured people would need to see their instructor, and you said, "Oh, good idea."
Oh no, I don't want
No. We
He doesn't want the
misunderstood
visual.
each other. Yeah, we misunderstood each other there.
I specifically said this is a Saturday. I'm not getting out of my PJs, and I ain't preening for nobody.
Yeah, and you know darn well I'm gonna put 60 pounds of armor on before I let myself be seen in a video. So
Okay.
here we so Lee, the first thing I want to know is and I'm sure all this information is out there somewhere, but I want to hear from you how you got started in voice acting.
Okay, well, before I do that, I just want to actually give you sort of my credentials, because if this is going to be leading towards my critiquing of other people, they need to know that it's coming from a good place and a place of some kind of, I know what I'm talking about, right? So that people need to know that. So I've had over 600 students in my day, and I've taught them all, some individually, some through on the mic training in Vancouver, and some I just a couple weeks ago I was training another person, and I'm going to be doing it more. So I have produced audio tapes, that's how old I am, audio stuff for people that want to show their demos. I have critiqued a lot of people. I've had a lot of, and my students, they call me one of two things: Papa Bear or Dream Smasher, because I don't pull punches. I will tell you if it's good or if it's bad. So now that you know that, I am coming from a place of this guy knows what he's talking about, then I'll answer your question. So the question was how I got started.
Yep.
Okay. Well, I mean, I've said this in panels before, but it really was, when as a lot of voice actors, I saw Mel Blanc. I learned about Mel Blanc by watching Bugs Bunny as a kid, sitting at my grandma's place because I grew up with my grandparents, and 3, 4 years old, and watching Bugs Bunny even since I was in the crib. My Uncle David used to take me out of the crib and sit and watch cartoons with me and every Saturday morning. And one day he hit my head against the door frame. So something tragic was about to happen. So I think it was like ingrained in my head that cartoons equals pain or something something important about cartoons. But he accidentally did that. He feels terrible. But anyway,
from that day on, I swore vengeance on all cartoons.
So that's right. So it was Bugs Bunny and Mel Blanc. So there's a lot of voice actors that can claim that. After that, I just started doing, because my eyes don't work that well, as everybody knows. I am legally blind, but my ears were really highly attuned, and so I always learned accents. I love accents. And I'm still learning South African right now. I was on the phone with my friend Adam Bear last week, or just a couple days ago, and I'm still trying to hone and perfect the South African accent. But I got started because my ears were great at doing it. I did talent shows, and I could just make funny voices with my mouth hole. And so that's what I did for a living, So that's what I did. And then I realized, I was still living in my parents' basement, so I was still very young. I think I ran away when I was 12. So, but it was before that, and I heard on the radio in Kelowna, Kathy Westlock talking about voiceovers in Vancouver. And I thought, oh, well, that's where they do cartoons. I think that's a thing? Voiceovers is a thing? I could be like a Mel Blanc. I could do the voiceovers of it. That's a thing. That's a thing. I can't believe it's a thing. So I started doing that. So I went and I'd have paper routes and just different jobs that I had, writing comedy for troops and things. And I would save up my money, get on a Greyhound, go to Vancouver, do auditions for my friend Doug Parker. He was one of the first directors of animation in Vancouver. And then an hour later, after my audition, I got to know Doug a little bit, and he thought I was really good. I'd get back on the Greyhound and go back home and do that again and repeat. That's how much I wanted to be in the industry. But there was no cartoons in Kelowna, so I had to go to Vancouver. So that's why I got started, is because it's just this deep passion I had for people that could manipulate their voice in such a way that it just fascinates me to this day how one person can sound like so many different things, and how the voice box is just like this beautiful instrument. And that's why there's a very elongated answer to a very specific question.
So how, on a scale of 1 to 10, how difficult was it to break into the industry when you were getting started?
I always thought that I was really good, but I didn't know how to let people know I was good. And so that was my biggest fear, is like, I know I have this thing. How can I tell the world I have this thing? And so it's just perseverance. And I found that getting to know the producers and getting to know the animators, like I really delved in deep. I got to know the animators. I got to know who. I read the tablet, like all of the variety and all of the stuff. I knew which companies, which production houses were doing what cartoons, what they were doing before, what they were up to next. And I get to know the names of the producers, and I really dug in deep. Like I really, really wanted this.
So you had to do a lot of networking when you were starting out. Is that what I'm hearing?
I tried to. It's hard to get people to notice you, so you've got to persevere, and you've really got to be professional about it. Like I learned about how to do a good audition and how to prepare when you're in a room with a producer or a casting director, the protocol, and how to make a proper demo reel. an audio demo reel and all of these things, and how to find an agency in your location, and all these things I took very, very seriously. So that's how I did it. It's going to be different for everybody, but that's what I recommend, is to take that. If you really want this, there's a lot of competition out there now. I mean, I got in when it was still a fledgling industry. Vancouver had, very little animation going on. So I was one of the lucky ones. I got in on it took me a couple of years of bashing my head against the wall of the auditions. And there was a lot of disappointments and a lot of no thank yous and a lot of phone not ringing. But, persistence beats resistance, right? And if it's something you want, I asked my papa, I got on a Greyhound one day when I was living in Vancouver and went back to Kelowna, and I went to the picker's cabin that my dad was living in, my papa, and I was almost in tears. I'm like, how do I do this? How do I let the world know? And he said these simple words, and I'll never forget them. And I think that it's one of the best advice that anybody can ever give. Find out who's doing what you want to do the most, and find out how they got there, and be as good as or better than them. And that's what I did.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So when you were getting started, what were the expectations of a voice actor? Like, if you had to be, how good did you have to be when you were starting out? And did the expectations change as you went on in your career?
I don't think the expectations ever changed. Other than I kept raising the standards of what I expected from myself. But it's really, once you get that first role, here's the thing. Okay, so I had my first role was on Conan the Barbarian. It was a day role. It was a warrior who got blinded. So my first line as a blind guy, I had to scream because this dragon fire in my eyes and my face, and I had to scream, "I'm blind!" And that was my first thing. And like 6 of the guys in the room knew, and they all left the room at this. And they kept walking by me and patting me on the shoulder, saying, "Oh God, I'm so sorry, man. This is rough." And I'm like, "Is this the way it's gonna be the whole time?" But once you're in a room one time with that much talent, you see what's out there. So one thing I would recommend to do is go to agencies and look up their websites, because I know my agency, Characters Talent, in Vancouver and in Toronto, it's across Canada. They are the biggest agency in Canada for voice and probably film. But go to their website, or any agency that's reputable, and go to their voice division, and they will have samples of all of their demos of all of the people that are on their roster. Listen to that, because that's the same thing as, they didn't have that before when I first started. I started in the studio and I saw all this amazing talent, and I'm like, I have to match that. I've got to be as good as that. So go to your agents, go to an agency, look them up online, go onto their voice division, listen to every single thing that's in your category and your range. And if you could match that, then that's your standard. That's your minimum buy-in. That's it. That's your ante to sit at the poker table. You got to be as good as that, and then make it more.
I've heard a lot of voice actors swear by agencies. Is it tough to get into an agency?
It is. I tried to get into one that was offered to me in LA, and it's the biggest one in LA, through my friend John Bailey, who's the voice of Epic Voice Guy. So he's one of my besties. And I did a great audition for them, but I was in LA at the time for this purpose, and they said, "Oh, that's great, but you have to be here for 6 months. You gotta live here, otherwise we can't represent you." But they would have taken me. But agencies are hard to get into. You have to kind of know somebody who knows somebody who can recommend you. That's what I found. But if you're good and you just kick the doors down and you just slap an MP3, like a flash drive on the desk and say, could you please? Or a phone call, just talk to an agent, just say, who's the head of your voice division? Who's their assistant? Can I talk to their assistant, please? Because you'll never talk to the agency directly to the head. So get to know the girl or the guy at the front desk first. Get to know them and let them know that, and like, be funny with them. That's what I find. So get to know everybody, right from the receptionist all the way up. Then you ask the assistant to the head of the division, and you say, what would the chances be that you could give a listen to this? It's something I really want, and I'm not fooling around. I know you guys get a lot of people, and just be sincere and be honest. If this is what you really want, I mean, your heart will lead you there anyway. They'll see it. They'll hear the passion.
So I've got other questions, but before I get into those, does anybody else have any, like Cruizer, Cordero, do you guys have any questions or anything you want to ask?
Yeah, I've been taking time here.
Well, one thing I have heard one actor say, a matter of fact, he's on Pony as well, John Delancey. Just wanted to see if you agreed with something that he said at a panel. He said one of the worst things you can do is to move out to California or New York until you develop some acting chops. But one of the best things you can do is make your own projects. Is this still accurate?
Oh, I totally. Well, first of all, I love John. He Sherry Fowler, my convention agent, is one of his besties too. And John, every convention I've been to, he is the only normal person there usually, because I don't know what to do with myself in public, and I have a hard time. Like, if I'm on a panel, I'm on, and then I go to my hotel room because I really don't understand how to interact with people, really, to be honest. But John is a very grounding presence, and he's kind of a curmudgeon. I agree with everything he says and everything you just asked. Yes, hone your skill first. Don't go rushing out into the great blue yonder, but starting your own projects. Yes, absolutely, because you start to garner interest in what you're doing, and you could sort of assign your own goal and your own role in whatever you're doing, and you can get people surrounding you that will support you. And if you've got enough gumption and enough steam, they will come to you and they will help you. People want to help you. If they see that you're onto something, they want to be part of it. I know I did, and I do still. I support so many artists that I like what they're doing. Like, for example, like this podcast. I like what you guys are doing. So I offer my time. I'm not getting paid for this, but
appreciate it.
Do your own projects. Yes, absolutely. John is, again, he's a wise old curmudgeon. I love him.
For some of the questions I plan on asking you tonight, I'm probably going to end up having to pay you, but we'll see what happens there. How about you, Cordero? Did you have anything?
Oh, I'm just enthralled by the story and the sharing. There was a time that I wanted to break into the voice acting industry. I don't know if I just feel like I'm too old or something, or just too far removed from the industry.
Impossible. You can't be too old. No way.
Yeah, I was the annoying guy at the panel, who at the voice actor panels went, "How did you guys become voice actors?" I was that guy for like a decade.
I remember you now.
I'm sure you do. Yeah. So like, I guess I kind of didn't want to be that guy anymore. I've sort of settled into writing because I feel like you can do writing from anywhere, at any time. And I've told my story before. I want to be a professional author, so I continue writing fan fiction until I feel I'm good enough to write real works.
One of my writing students, the Malcontent guy, he started his thing with his was an Equestria Girls fan fiction, and he's transitioning over into I don't know what the word for it is. It like maybe legitimate but he's basically just changing the names to try to make it its own standalone thing.
You just call it original work. Just go with a safe one.
Yeah, original work. So that's one thing you might consider there, Cordero.
Yeah, some of my stories I have considered you just changing name, because what's been happening lately is I'm getting to a point where I'm like, yeah, I probably should start writing my own stories, because I'm just using the My Little Pony universe as a backdrop, and then I take the characters and I make them my own anyway, and then I put a bunch of effort into these OC characters that I develop from scratch, and I'm like, if I'm putting so much effort into these OC characters, I should just make my own universe.
Yeah, just
but I'm just
change
really
them.
comfortable
Just
in the
change the
MLP
name and make
universe.
them bipedal, and you're good.
Oh,
we
bye,
lost
Lee.
Lee. Oh, geez, he's offline too. I wonder what happened.
I enraged him.
Might have, or maybe his computer crashed or something. Okay, gentlemen, we are having some technical difficulties. Please bear with us for a moment, and we'll see.
I'll text him.
Yeah, I'll. Okay, if you're texting him, I'll hang back. So, what did we talk about in the meantime? I didn't have a backup plan.
Okay, well, we had a question that I think we can at least answer from Paladin Pony. Brony Buck and friends, have any of you been asked to voice act a character in an MLP fan story, like what the Lost Narrator and her wife does?
Yeah, so Cruiser, you and I both have like you were Shining Armor in Midnight's production of my fan fiction, Dream Equestria. So you I
This is
don't know
true.
if you were asked to do that. You auditioned for it and you got the part. And we've actually and I know you've done some stuff for Melon Tart VA as well. Am I missing anything?
For fans, there was one thing with that Melantard did that unfortunately didn't finish it, which kind of kills me. It was basically a gender swapped version of the main six and even Spike, where I played a male Rainbow Dash.
Mm. You know, I could
Good old
I could
Rainbow
see you
Blitz.
as I could see you as a male Rainbow Dash. And yeah, I've for the most part, when people come and ask for me, they are asking for Brawny. But there has been a couple of times I've been asked to narrate, and there has been a couple of times where I've been asked to play King Sombra. And we were actually thinking of sharing some clips of that tonight.
Hey, what's up?
But oh, hang on, Cruiser's on the phone. Oh, he's muted. No, okay, so it's that something
Yeah.
unrelated. Yeah, wow, we're having a great time tonight, aren't we?
Boy, yeah. Dropping guests, taking phone calls.
Yep, a very very professional stream we got going on here. How about you, Cordero? You ever voice acted in anything?
I've voice acted in my own terrible things, and I think I auditioned for a couple of fan stuff, but I never got anything.
Hmm.
I never quite broke into like fandom creation stuff. I think I tried for a good solid year, and then just stopped. I'm sure if I kept doing it, I would have gotten somewhere, but you know, at
Well,
some at some point you got to pay bills.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you don't do it full time, or at least you don't jump right into doing it full time. Otherwise, that's
Oh,
what
I
I've
wasn't.
been. Yeah.
Yeah.
Otherwise, that's what I've been doing. But I definitely stand by what Lee was saying before he got disconnected there. That making your own projects is the best thing. You just, especially in the modern day of YouTube, just pumping them out as fast as possible and as much as
Yeah.
possible. Will you'll have a better chance of getting your name out there, and in the Brony fandom especially, being a voice actor will actually get you views. Like I've seen people, one gentleman, and I'll say his name, Torterra, like the Pokemon. He started doing reviews and analysis, and he moved into voice acting, and well, doing more voice acting as well. And he went from like a couple hundred subscribers to like 7,000 subscribers in less than a year. So people, and he's not bad, but his mic quality isn't there. At least it wasn't the last time I looked at his channel. I don't know if anything has changed. So We definitely like that in the Brony fandom, and I would say that um we don't really have a whole lot of good voice actors in the Brony fandom, unfortunately. Like especially if people are trying to voice like kid characters, it just it's really bad. Like, oh god, there was a comic dub uh back in the early fandom. And it was I think it was titled Special, and it was like it was like derpy. It was back when we had the headcanon that Dinky was Derpy's daughter, and
Yeah,
a lot
it's
of us
Derpy's
still have
daughters.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she's like Derpy's talking to Dinky. He's like, "Oh, you're special. You're never gonna be, or you know, I wish I could be special like you." And Dinky gets all mad all out of nowhere and goes, "Shut up! You are special too." And then they hug it out, right? And there was a comic dub of that, and it was so bad. It
Oh yeah.
was.
Oh yeah. Oh wow.
Like it was a meme of how bad it was, and then Solrak made a video dubbing it over
Oh
as well.
no.
Yeah, and does anybody in the audience remember Solrak? You remember
Yes.
Solrak? Yeah.
Yes, I
Shut
do.
You are special too. Oh,
I can hear it. I can hear it. I've never seen it before, but I can hear him doing it.
I wonder if it still exists.
Just
What's
got
up,
the phone
Cruiser?
with Lee.
Yeah.
It seems like his computer somehow rebooted on him. I think it was just it did an update without him
Oh.
knowing.
Oh, those Windows updates. They're insidious.
Yeah. What horrible timing. So, what's the word? Is he on his way back or?
Yeah, they're
Okay.
trying to see if they can possibly get it come back in on his tablet device.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, because the computer will make it finish updating.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, we got another one here from Paladin. What is the hardest role for you to play as a voice actor, or what is the hard role? What would be a hard role for you to play?
A hard role. Well, something that would be outside of my vocal range, which is and I don't, to be totally honest, I don't even know what my vocal range is because I've had no formal training. The only voice training I've had is a musically inclined family, which put my standards really, really high for what a voice should sound like. And then like in the context of singing, I just like to sing when I'm taking my road trips or and then I'm like, oh, I didn't hit that note. I better try again. And so that's the extent of my voice training there. And then from an acting standpoint, I just take the position of how does a normal person talk, so and just try to emulate the emotions from there. So I don't exactly know what my vocal range is. Heather swears I've got a really good vocal range. I don't hear it. I think I can
Well,
sound
not
like
right now.
Yeah, well, I think even so, I think I can sound like myself, which is really weird. And I don't know if it, well, I just straight up don't know anything. And one of those things I don't know is if it is weird that my voice shifts so drastically from time of day to what I've eaten to, just generally how I'm feeling. But
No,
like,
that's how it goes. That's how voices
yeah,
are.
well, like Cordero, your voice sounds the same all the time, and
Yeah.
and
Okay, who keeps pinging?
oh, that's me. Lee is messaging me on Discord,
Oh, I don't even hear it.
he's messaging me on Facebook, and he just sent me his new Discord handle. So I'm gonna say, let me see here. I'll send you a new friend invite right away. There we go. So, like, to me anyway, Cordero, your voice always sounds the same. Cruiser's voice always sounds the same. I could record
Okay.
myself at 2 different times a day, and it sound completely different.
That's
And I think you've heard
that's a
like
phenomenon. That's a phenomenon that everyone has. Is you don't sound the way you think you do in your own head. So when you hear your voice on recording, it's going to sound different to you. And
Yeah.
you're going to hear the differences in your inflection that you wouldn't catch from other people.
Yeah. And when I'm voice acting for my channel, I try to get into what I think is my best speaking voice, and from there, which is actually kind of sounds like what I sound like now with a cold, but I like
Right.
the lower register, and the deeper sound of the voice there with a little bit of gravel in it. But when I know that when like we're coming in from a workout or while I'm teaching, I don't sound like this most of the time. So like I don't know what that means for anything really in terms of my vocal range.
You have a natural, deep baritone sounding voice. A lot of men your size and build do. And there are so many things you could do with that, because you saying you don't know your vocal range. Are you talking more about singing, or are you talking about like different voices you could do in a voice
A
acting
little bit,
situation?
of both. Oh, and
Oh,
we got Lee back in the call
Oh
here.
my gosh. Yes.
Yeah, I'm
Sorry,
sorry.
guys.
Not a problem, man. We've managed to keep the show going. We were wondering what was going on there for a second though. Like, oh
I
no,
did
we
it's
offended
like my
him.
computer wants to check for updates for some reason, but I did just change my name to get just recently they updated the Discord. That's why I don't like Discord. I like Zoom. But they just they said that I could change my name back to just Lee Tockar instead of all the numbers after it. So I did that, and I
Oh,
think
okay.
that's what's screwing up my computer. Sorry about that. Sorry for the
Dang.
interruption.
Not a problem. So
I'm-
we were talking about like the types of I was sort of lamenting that I don't really know anything about voice work. I'm almost entirely self-taught, and I was saying I don't really know what my voice is, because if I record myself on two different days or at different periods of time in the day, I can sound completely different. And
I
so
think you sound
Cordero,
like Super Dave Osborne.
I actually don't know who that is, so I'll take it as a
You
compliment.
gotta look it up. You sound like
Okay.
Super Dave Osborne. It's a reference back into I think the 80s. But Super Dave Osborne, your voice and
Super
his voice,
Dave.
Super Dave Osborne, you sound like Brony. You sound like Super Dave Osborne for me, for sure.
And that's another thing. If I try to do a voice that's not my voice, I can't hold it. Like it will.
Oh yeah,
There has been
consistency.
times I've tried to do an accent and I've shifted from British to Australian to Scottish to Russian, just going from
Yeah.
one line to the next. And I definitely don't think I'm that
Yeah.
talented to be able to
That
hold
that was
that.
one of the
Either that
most
or I'm just
common.
not. So to answer Paladin's question about what would be the hardest for me, an accent. I think I said all that just to come to the conclusion I can't do accents. At least I don't think I can.
Well,
Okay,
this is
you are good at karate, right? You're a martial artist.
I wouldn't
You
say I'm
can't just
good
be
at
good.
anything, but yet.
Well, but you can't be good at something unless you practice at it. And that's really my bottom line with that, with accents and with any. You have to practice it. You have to want it and be curious enough about it to investigate it and dedicated enough to practice it. It's like anything else. It's the 10,000 hour rule, right? It's like
Yeah.
anything else. Like I told you guys, I'm sorry I interrupted somebody. Who was I interrupting? I'm sorry. I think you can do it if you just practiced.
You might be right. So maybe we can direct that question to you too, Lee. What's the hardest voice for you to do? Because that was what we were responding to when you came back to the call. As somebody in the chat wanted to know.
The hardest voice that I am trying to master right now, because every year I like to master a new accent because I love accents. And before the chat began, I was talking about my friend Adam Bear, who from South Africa. So a couple of years ago, I learned the Welsh accent, which is very close to Southeast Asian. But South African is such a nuanced dialect. It's the hardest one. So all I can do is sort of sound a little bit like it. And he said, Lee, you've almost cracked it, and it's really hard to do, yeah. So you got to really, like, it's a very nuanced language in dialect, yeah, because it's Dutch and German and Australian and a bit of Afrikaans is very difficult there. So yeah, so that is my new, but I have these goals that I love to work towards. So I'm in love with dialects. I'm in love with the voice box and how, I've actually taken a step back from voice acting for the last year and probably for the next 6 months. I'm still healing from when I had COVID and I got intubated. So plus I'm working on the novel and I'm taking a step away from that for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't stop my pursuit and my passion for dialects and for learning how people sound. And, so it really is just practice, man. It's practice. And you have to listen to Super Dave Osborne. Serious, man. You do sound like a lot like him.
Yeah, so Cordero was asking me when you came back in, because I said I don't really know what my vocal range is, because I've never really tested it, and he goes, well, do you mean for voice acting and for singing? So a question that I would have for the both of you is, how much of a difference is there? Like, do you need to be able to sing in order to be into voice acting?
No, short answer.
Okay.
They definitely a Venn diagram overlap. They can definitely assist each other.
Mhm.
Yep.
Either skill definitely assists each other, but they are absolutely different skills. And you may have a great vocal range for voices, in like a really high register, but you might not necessarily be able to sing well in a high register. They're different skills that need their own time and practice.
Yeah,
I'll
and
agree with that.
we were talking about John Delancey earlier, and
Yeah.
as far as I can tell, for voice actors, they do need to have a vocal range, even if they aren't singing, and everybody on Friendship is Magic was voicing at least 2 or 3 characters.
Yep.
I mean, Lee, yourself, you did what, 4 characters, 5, something like that?
Yeah. I did Snips and Stephen Magnet and Coriander Cumin and the alligator, which is basically just my own voice.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, actually, it's one of my favorite bits I've ever done. It was just sounding like me.
Yeah, so
It was great.
this is what I was saying earlier about vocal ranges. When I voice a character, you know it's me right away. And if I hadn't read the credits, I wouldn't know that you were all those characters, Lee. So we get things like that. We get Mark Hamill, who has
Amazing.
has an amazing range as well. But
Yeah.
then you get John Delancey, who seems to be the outlier of when John Delancey starts talking, you know it's John Delancey.
Well, yeah.
And he was also saying that he like that recording, when Discord had a song in Friendship is Magic, he found it extremely difficult to record because he's not very talented at singing. So what would you say, Lee, is the ratio of people who have a really good vocal range and are expected to have a really good vocal range to people that just have one voice that they're really good at?
Well, I'm going to try and do short answers too, because I feel like I take up a lot of time when I talk. So, when I Am Weasel first came out, it was the guy that played Worf from Star Trek. And that was the first time that I had noticed that celebrities were being used. And those would trump any other auditions that anybody could ever do, because obviously people want to gravitate towards those familiar sounds that they know. Now, when Q he does an audition for Discord, or for the whatever character that he played, I played for that character, you're gonna know that's John Delancey. You're gonna hear that, and so I mean, you have to have if you have a distinguished voice, a distinguishing voice, something that sets you apart, then you can roll off of that forever. When I first started, just quickly, doing commercials, I was the Kokanee guy. I did Kokanee beer, and I was the LA Kings and the Canucks and all these things. But it was this hungover college kid kind of voice, like Kokanee beer. It's the beer out here, Glacier Fresh taste, straight from the Kootenays, and LA Kings and BC Lions, and they'll keep you at the edge of your seat, and blah blah blah. And you get known for that. But so you can make a living and a career off of that sound. To have vocal range is something completely different. That takes skill and talent, and it's something I appreciate so much more. But I do appreciate when, like, a person like John Delancey, if you've got a vocal, like, okay, so if you, Brony, if you want to make your voice, out there in the world, then and you recognize you don't have a range, because I don't know if you have a range or not. I've never heard you. So, I mean, other than this voice. So if you want to do that, then push that voice out into the world and say, here's what I sound like. This is what I'm doing. And, and if that makes you some money, great. If not, then you feel like you have to want to branch out, then do that. But
yeah.
Okay. Well, what about a voice actor like your buddy Matt Hill? Because one thing I've noticed with him is that he tends to play the 16-year-old male quite a bit.
Of course, he's a human spark plug. I love my Matt. He's such a great guy. He's one of the best souls I've met in the industry, outside of the industry. He's just such a great person, but he does have that, like, hey, how you doing? Blah, blah, blah. He's got that sort of really high, intense, kind of surfer-ish, kind of West Coast energy thing. And that's his thing. And that's what he gets known for. And when you are on that track and you're dependable in that character styling, people will come to you and they'll just say, well, that's a Matt Hill thing. We'll get people that sound like a Matt Hill or whatever.
But could that ever be bad though? Like, could you actually be typecast for this and you won't get a chance to, I guess, show off your range?
I guess so, because I think so. Sorry, did you have something you wanted to add there? Because
like, obviously I'm not in the industry, but from what I've seen and heard, like, the whole typecasting thing is often a stigma that, like, I'm not sure it should be a stigma, because it's like, oh no, you're typecasted, and now you have a career forever. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, if you, I was gonna tell Brony before he walked away from the conversation for a minute and said he'll be right back, and we need to keep the conversation going. Oh, there you are. I was gonna say that you have a voice that's marketable, like your deep baritone, tough guy sounding voice. That's a really good natural voice you have. It's like, I think it's a misnomer or a myth that everyone in voice acting needs to be a Mel Blanc. That's great if you have a vocal range and can do a million voices and no one can tell you from one thing to another. That's fantastic. But if you have one particular distinctive sounding voice that's very marketable, that's also an invaluable skill to have that will get you jobs. Because the gruff, tough, like rough guy, there's that character in like every piece of media that exists. So you are like the prime guy for that role everywhere. So like there's ups and downs to both. If you're the all around guy, you might get a bunch of roles. But if you're like I have this voice and I do this voice really well, you're also going to get a lot of consistent work. They're both good.
Yeah,
and then
if you've got more of a range,
iconic.
then you're more versatile and you can probably go out for more roles. Is that correct?
Yeah, but look at Sam Elliott.
The law of averages.
I'm saying that the market for your voice is bigger than you think it is. Like Matt, the guy we were talking about, that plucky 16-year-old voice, that's also in like every piece of media, especially cartoons. So it's like, oh wow, I can only sound like a plucky 16-year-old kid. Great, that means every cartoon on the world wants your voice.
Yep, absolutely. I mean, look at all the iconic voices. The In a World, right? Don LaFontaine. I studied under Don LaFontaine, and he made a career out of that. Like, buying continents kind of career. You just could buy whole cities with that.
Wow.
And and all of those other iconic voices that we hear, Sam Elliott, like I said, and these things that have these characters don't need to be anything other than what they already are. So if you can hone that one thing that you sound like, and you really take a step back and look in your vocal mirror, and you say, okay, that's my range, that's my timbre, that's my sound, that's my thumbprint, that's my print, then you can hone that to make it the best that it can be. And then you can market that. You don't have to be a Mel Blanc. I agree completely that you don't have to do that. One thing I would like to add about the musicality, I agree completely with my esteemed colleague here. I think that you do not, they are two different sets of vocal skills. I will say that there is a musicality to animation voice acting. And the musicality is kind of like a jazz in your head, I have found. And so you're almost like, for me, you're hitting notes, not like on a chart, but you're there's a cadence and a pattern and something that sounds very musical, and those to the ear, and the ear wants what the ear wants. I always say this. So you don't have to be a singer to be a good voice actor, and you don't have to be and the inverse of that. But there is musicality to every voice acting job. There is a musicality to the voice that has to be.
So basically, you don't have to learn singing, but it will help.
It can help, yeah. Brony, to use a metaphor in your sphere, imagine like a karate expert versus a sports professional. Like somebody who's been doing karate all of their life could probably learn a sport really well because of how used they are to moving their body. And somebody who's been doing sports all their life would probably take to karate pretty well because they have experience moving their body in very specific, deliberate ways. But would you expect a guy who's been playing basketball for 10 years to immediately be a black belt? Absolutely not. He would still have to train. His sports training would support him learning karate, but it would still be a new thing altogether that he develops. And that's the same relationship that singing and voice acting have.
Okay.
I would argue.
That's a great metaphor.
So, how much nuance is there to the art of voice acting? I have heard other voice actors talk about that there are certain vocal tricks you need to know to make it easier for the audio engineers to mix you, like how to avoid pops on the P's, B's, and hisses on the C's and S's. How essential are those skills? And do you have to how much does that go into whether or not you get a voice acting job for your abilities? Sorry,
Okay,
Morton, this question's kind of weird.
I'll flag this really, really quickly. Yeah, that's studio etiquette 101. It's microphone etiquette 101. So you have to know how to work with your microphone. P's and T's and sibilant S's and mouth schmecks, we call it. Like when you have that sound that a disgusting sound of, when I hear myself sounding like that, drink some water or some apple juice or something and just get rid of that and watch your distance. But they have pop cards now for that, and they have for years. And so it's all about microphone technique and understanding your placement in with regards to your microphone. That's it.
Alrighty then.
If you're lucky to get a job, just one job, what are your chances of getting another one?
Incrementally better. Like much, much better. Because then it's like okay, I'll put it in terms like guys and girls or whatever, or people in general. If somebody is interested in you physically, you will become more attractive to other people because they're going to be like, oh, well, that person likes that person. Maybe I should like that person. So it's kind of the same ridiculous metaphor with regards to production houses. They're like, oh, okay, well, he worked on that thing or she worked on that thing, and that's a good company, and they seem to like them. So, geez, maybe I should like them. So it's kind of that sort of mentality. So yes, once you get your first job, your chances of getting another one go up incrementally. Like, just like it's yeah. People will say, "Oh, she is likable, so they must be talented."
Piggybacking off of that question, how does the demo reel that you make for yourself, with projects that you've just done on your own, stack up or weigh against, or complement the demo reel that gets made off of things that you got hired to do?
Well, I'm gonna admit something here. I have not made a demo reel for years because people just, well, I mean, they know what my range is and they know what I've done. So, I mean, my agent has something that somebody put together for me somewhere along the line, but it's just clips from my my shows, and then they said, okay, now just do a sign off on it. And so I said, oh, this has been a small example of some of my voices, and I can be reached at, and then your agent's number. But if you're asking the difference between making your own projects, making your own demo reel, and cutting it into something for little bits from things you've done, I'd say obviously cut the things that you've done already into that, because that means you have success. If you're doing it just out of the gate and you're just, this is me, I'm doing my own projects, just take the best stuff and just, you want to create an atmosphere. You've got 1 minute, no more. That you got 60 seconds maximum. No more. That, I keep it short. Start strong. Make sure that for demo reels, make sure that your sound effects don't overstride the voice. Never put a vocal effect on your voice, ever. You need to sound natural and clean. Make sure you're in a good room with baffling, so it's sound absorbent. You want to work with a good microphone. Get yourself a Neumann or a Sennheiser or something like that. Even a Rhodes, nice Rhodes, those things. Even like the microphones now on your iPhones are really damn good. I've got auditions from that.
I've got something called an MXL 990. That's what you're hearing me on right now, and I don't know how it stacks up, but it was only $100.
It sounds fine to me. But you just want to make sure if you have a music bed or sound effects to make it sound like it's moving from scene to scene to scene to scene, just keep it lower than, don't overpower the voice itself. You don't want it to be the star of the show. The voice has to be the star of the show. And at the end, say, hi, my name is, your name. This is a small example of some of my voices. If you are on Mel Blanc or whatever, or this is a sample of my voice, and I can be reached at, and then your phone number, then, or your email. And then once you get an agent, then you change the end of it to say their number, and I can be reached at characters talent at blah 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 blah. So
right.
there's a process.
I've got a question here from the audience. Paladin Pony says, when voice acting, how often are you allowed to improv?
VA panel question number 5.
Say what?
I improv all the time. Yeah, I improv all the time, but I'm a writer too, and I'm a bit of a jackass. So I'm always coming up with stupid shit to say when I mean characters are I open my mouth and sometimes things just fall out, but sometimes they work and sometimes I go, well, there, but most of the times I'm upset because I didn't get a writing credit. So
I know that.
Hey, I wrote that line.
In working with like fan dubs or anything like that, and especially in the Brony fandom, like if people are making a fan animation or a comic dub or something like that, the actors will often like improvise in character, and then stuff like that will end up like at the tail end of the video, things that didn't get used. Or I know that in Disney's Aladdin, they brought on Robin Williams for the pretty much the purpose of improvising.
Yep.
Mhm.
So
Um,
it just depends on the project, I guess. And I've done it a couple of times, and people that have been working with me doing characters on my show have done it a couple of times, and I'm like, dang it, that's actually better. I'll just use that line instead.
Yeah, it happens. The Robin Williams case, that's the exception. I think they were bringing in somebody who's really good at riffing, so
Yeah,
that they
because
could riff.
that's got to
So he
be a
could riff
nightmare
them.
for the animators.
I think I watched a video about this recently. I think one of the things that convinced Robin Williams to do the genie is a team of animators made an animatic of the genie doing Robin Williams stand up. They took like a clip of his stand up and animated the genie doing it.
Oh,
And
wow.
Robin Williams was like, all right, yeah, I'm into this. And so he signed on. He was signed on to Fern Gully first, and that was the passion project he really wanted to do. And
cool.
Aladdin was an afterthought. It was like, well, since you want me so bad, and I'm already doing Fern Gully, I'll do that too.
That's cool. I didn't know that. That's neat. That's sort of like the opposite of what they did with Sleeping Beauty or Snow White, because they actually had the animators in with the actress performing, and they animated her movements. And so
Maleficent,
that's
I'm assuming.
huh?
Maleficent, I'm assuming.
No, this is the original Snow White. Like they actually had the animators from Disney
right.
go into the session with her there singing and moving, and they based the movements of that character off of her body movements at the time, as opposed to what you're saying, which is taking the animation and mimicking Robin Williams stand up, which I did not know. That sounds very, very cool. I love learning new things like that.
I've got two
Yeah.
more questions that I want to rocket through real quick, and then get to the. We don't really have much for audience participation, but there was. We wanted to show you some clips, Lee, and get your thought on them. So
Okay.
real quick
I'm
here.
like,
Are we capable of voice acting in other languages? Me, at the moment, no. I know a little bit of Japanese and a little bit of Italian, and at some point in time, and I want to finish learning those. And I certainly wouldn't take a role doing those languages. I tell you, to get someone who's fluent and maybe even native. And when I get done, when I get fluent in Italian and Japanese, I'm going to move on to Spanish because I live in Florida and I kind of have
Yep.
to. And
It's helpful.
yeah, so there's well, I'll tell you this. One time, I ran into a dude who didn't know English, but he knew Spanish, and I gave him my Italian, and we sort of understood each other for the most part.
okay.
Yeah, so let's see here. And
well,
what about you, Lee? Do you know other languages that you can voice act in?
who are you asking that question
You.
to? No, I'm 350 days into Duolingo with mon petit professeur Duolingo avec le langage le français, mais je comprends le langage plus que je parle, so I understand it more than I speak it, and I know a little bit of Japanese. But now that we have this last debate that we had about AI, now we have AI. And so you can put your voice into an AI filter and sample your voice, and it will spit it out in another language. This is why AI is going to destroy all creativity.
I didn't know that. That's crazy. I'm surprised we didn't go
Adam
over
Bear
that.
does. Friend Adam Bear in South Africa, he does this. He can sound like he doesn't know high German, but he did this accent where he does the speaking like it's German and like this, but he put it through an AI filter, And all of a sudden, spitting out at the end, and he had his other friends who were German at the time, still are probably. He says, "Is this German?" And it spat it out in German.
Oh wow.
Yeah, that's what's happening to the world. That's why voice acting is a dying career. If you want my honest opinion, AI is to take over. So what you have to do is use AI for your own until we can kill AI entirely. But there's too many lazy brains out there that want to just use it. And students can get dumber, and CEOs and COOs can just put out their
Yeah,
but
I
it's
just
dying.
well, yeah, because I just saw a couple of videos where someone took the late singer of Linkin Park, Chester Bennington, and used an AI to have him sing songs from bands, Slipknot or Sevenfold.
Oh wow.
Now, people in the comment section were quite positive about this. They thought it sounded cool. Honestly, I thought it sounded horrible because the mixing was terrible. He's not screaming in places where I think he's not singing in places where he should.
Right.
So, yeah, I think people were just more impressed with the novelty of it. But when you actually know a thing or two, it's not good.
It's not good. And the thing, Brony, here's the answer to your question is kind of screwy, because the question you're asking about, are you able to, yes, it helps if you can learn and master a language so that you can do a role in another language, of course, but now it doesn't matter. AI has made that it doesn't. That's not a question that needs even to be raised anymore. You give it 2 years, I guarantee. No, I guarantee 5 years, and it's going to be the death of voiceover careers. It's gonna, anybody can just, so you have to get ahead of the curve, and you've got to market your own voice. So sample. What I've thought is this, maybe, I don't know, like sample your own voice from things you've done before, and then chat GPT that shit to death. I don't know, man. I don't know what's gonna happen, but it's weird.
All right. Well,
I've been replaced by an AI voice for an audition that I went out for.
So let me just ask these last two questions for you, Lee, and we'll have you, in your time as a voice actor, did you notice any major shifts in the voice acting industry? And the other question I wanted to ask is, how important is representation in terms of, like, if you've got this character that's black, how important is it that the voice actor is black, or for any other nationality out there? So those are my last two questions before we get into the next segment.
Okay. Well, as okay. Well, those are the same question. That's two questions. That means that, because the most important thing that's happened, the most significant shift, has been BIPOC, and it's this whole BIPOC area. You have to be of a nationality in order to, or an ethnicity in order to portray that ethnicity. People.
Now that could be a whole debate in itself, but I want to hear your opinion.
It totally is. So that's shifted. But I really don't. This is a whole other debate, man. This is a whole other thing, because
I know it is.
This, okay. So I can do this Idi Amin thing, So I can sound like I'm from Middle Africa, So I can do this thing, but I'm not allowed to, because I am white. I am not allowed to sound like this. This is not something I'm allowed to do.
Are you sure? Because you said you're blind. How do you know you're white?
I don't know. Steve Martin.
Oh, wow.
People will understand.
You did that joke on the stream I do with my other, and I felt it necessary to bring it up.
I love it. I love it. You've got a good you have a memorable elephant, my friend. But yes, yeah. So you're not allowed to. But I have, my problem with that is, just because you are not of that ethnicity, if you honor that dialect, like I actually study Japanese and I study I study dialects, and so I think I should be allowed, because I pay homage to them with that much care and dedication. I should be allowed to sound like this. I should be allowed to sound like anything I want to, as long as I understand the language. Like with Francais, with French, I played in Le Petit Prince. I played the hunter in Le Petit Prince, and so, but I understand some of the language of French. So, and I study Japanese, so I have played the Japanese characters before, So I am allowed, I think. So, that's what we learned when I was in karate in that. But I studied the language. You should be allowed to play that if you. It's good acting. Are you a good actor, or are you just going to get known for just being that? I get that you should be given first chance, but are you a good actor? That's the question.
I heard, and I heard that for Avatar: The Last Airbender, the voice auditions were done completely blind for the purpose of making sure that they got the best actor for the role, just on the merits of their
Awesome.
voice and nothing else.
That is
Yeah.
great to hear. I'm so glad to hear that.
Maybe we'll drag you back on again for a stream dedicated
Yeah,
to that.
that's
very
literally a
topic.
whole nother debate on
Yeah.
its own. Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
so if you, I know you switched your devices there. Are you still able to see the live stream
I
in Discord?
don't know. I don't know. I'm not sure. What I'm looking at on my iPhone right now, which is what you're hearing me on my little iPhone, I don't see the same thing that I saw on the Discord chat on my computer, which is still being a bit of a tit, but that's okay. It's still spinning and spinning and spinning. The Discord little face is spinning around saying checking for updates, but I don't see now. I can see some, like I can see some things now different. Okay. Try putting.
Well, I just turned my
try posting it. Let me see it.
So if I play this, let me see. I'll just I'll pull up that I'll pull up a video again real quick here. And
Okay,
we'll
because I see Justin now, but I didn't before.
Yeah, I just turned my camera on.
Oh,
we're
okay.
looking for the I'll just oh, there's a music video. That's a good one. So YouTube, y'all are about to hear some music while we test this.
Okay, well, even still, I don't have to see something to have my ears hear it and discuss the nuances of it. I don't need.
To hear that? Were you able to hear that, Lee? I was just playing it for a couple of seconds.
Do it again.
I didn't even hear it. Do I have to have the stream up? Oh, there it is.
I do not hear that. No.
Okay. All right. So I gotta figure out something here. How am I gonna do this?
Just send it to him via Messenger.
Yes. So I'll you know what? I'll do that, and then I'll play it for the stream, and so the stream can hear what we're talking see what we're talking about.
Brony, while you're getting those links, I had a question for you back on the topic. Do you still want to be a voice actor, or is that something you're?
If someone came up to me and said, "Hey, I got this role for you," then yeah, I would definitely do it. If I see an opportunity to audition that I think I can do, yeah, I do. I don't having realistic expectations. I don't think it could be a full-time career for me, but I do enjoy voice acting when I do. So Lee, I just sent you on Facebook a video of a fan comic dub there, and if you would just listen to about 30 seconds of that, and I'll play it for the stream so they can see what we're talking about here.
Okay. And, just hang on. Let me get my lovely talented IT wife. Hey, Carly. Baba. Could you?
Oh yeah, that's
could you
right. If he tabs out of that,
Could you assist for a second, please?
we had all this figured out, and then his
We did.
computer.
My computer decided to just implode.
Yeah, it didn't have a backup plan for that.
No, sorry about that, everybody.
Yep.
No, it's all
But
good.
what we're gonna do here is we're gonna get some professional feedback, some critiques on some of these clips that these fandom.
Are you sending him like super cringe fan stuff so that he can dunk on it? Because if you are, I'm into this.
So Carly is here now.
Okay.
So tell her what's
Hi, Carly.
happening.
We're trying to see if he can see the like we were watching YouTube together earlier on the computer. Can that be done on the iPhone? On Discord.
Yep. Watch stream. There we go.
Oh.
Okay.
Look at that. And
you see it.
Now I do. But
All right,
can I
cool.
hear it? So play it again.
All right, so here's you know what? Here's my theme song.
I can hear it.
I can hear it.
All right, cool.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Cool.
Mega
All
Rainbow
right, we're in business.
Overdrive. Mega Rainbow Overdrive by Lock 9. For those who don't know, for some reason, I've been using it as my theme song for years. Anyway, here's our first clip.
Don't we kind of need that?
He loaned it to us for only helping you escape the no zone.
Whatever. At least the doc was kind enough to warp us as close to the tower. Miz, where's the generator thingy?
Oh, don't worry about that, hun. Vinitivus was kind enough to give us a map grid before leaving us here.
So,
okay.
What'd you think about that?
Okay, well, I thought the second voice was really good. And is that you, Justin?
Yes, it is.
It sounds like you. The second voice was really nice and nerdy. I didn't really catch the first part, and then there was a woman's voice. Tell me that wasn't you.
No.
Okay. So first of all, don't put another voice on your demo reel. But I loved the nerdy character that you did. That was really authentic and very like, oh, where's the thing I'm supposed to be looking at for some reason?
I was actually the Blue Eagle guy, Predator. This was a part that I auditioned for, and I got the role of that character.
That's cool. Well, I could see why, because it's very authentic. I liked it. It was really nerdtastic.
I definitely think Cruiser was the best voice actor in that video there. From a technical level, I had some issues with the mixing.
Yeah, the girl's mic was wetter than everyone else's, and it bothered me.
Yeah. But as a piece, it was great. But as a demo, you don't want anybody else's voice on there. But as a piece, it was, aside from the fact that it sounded like it was mixed in two different studios, and I definitely agree that she sounded wetter. She definitely sounded like she was a little hot on the mic. And Justin, you didn't. But your characterization was spot on.
Thanks. There were some parts in the video where it sounds like they're just either trying to do a voice or they're just reading off a paper.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I can hear that a little bit, but you were great. So, and I knew. See, I can't see very well, but I know I did hear you. That was good.
He's got those sharp ears. Anyway, here's our next clip. This one's called the Assassin Animatic by Princess Heather Blossom.
Okay.
The Crown Prince said hopefully. The assassin hesitated. I'm not sure I'm comfortable with this. Oh, come on, you're doing great. Just one stab. It'll be easy peasy. The prince spread his arms wide, leaving his throat and chest vulnerable. Look, I'm gonna level with you, the assassin said. I took this contract on the assumption that you were a bad dude. Usually when a country goes bankrupt it's fast, it's because whoever's in charge is raiding the treasury. But once I infiltrated the guard, I actually had to spend time around you, and you're Just? The assassin threw up her hands in disgust. You're just a really nice person. There's no getting around it. So I'm not super on board with murdering you now. Nothing personal. But if you don't, my sisters won't get the life insurance payout and the country will be in debt for the next century. I'm pretty sure arranging for...
Alright, I think that's good enough. So what'd you think of that clip, Lee?
Okay, well, I could hear your voice in there, Brony.
Yep, that's exactly what I was worried about.
No, it's good. No. That because you were doing you, and that's good. That's what you want to promote.
Which character was I?
Well, first of all, you were definitely the announcer.
The narrator, yeah.
The narrator. Were you doing the British accent as well?
Which British accent? As far as I can tell, there's two in there.
The white pony thing. I don't know what color it is.
Shining armor. Yeah, that was me.
Okay, so, I'm gonna be Dream Smasher here.
Do it.
You need a couple thousand more hours of work on the UK accent, but
Okay.
1,000 hours doesn't mean anything. It just means like you just need like dedicated time for about a month.
Yeah.
And that's it. But you were very close. But
may I tell you a story about this piece?
Sure, yeah.
So, Heather Blossom is my girlfriend, and she came to me, said, I want to do this comic dub. I want to do this animatic, and I need a voice for it. This was before we were even dating.
Oh, okay.
So,
cool.
yeah, and so what I did was I read all 3 parts, and
nice.
I sent it off to her and said to myself, she'll pick whichever voice she wants me to use. So I read one as the narrator, and then I read off of myself as Shining Armor, and then I read off of myself as the assassin. And she ended up going with the whole thing. She just used me for all 3 roles in it. Like I thought she was getting other characters. So I was the changeling assassin character as well. And she had come to me in the moment and said, "Oh, that was really cool. Who did you get to voice the changeling?" And I said, "What do you mean you can't tell? That's just me."
It did sound very different in your timbre. That was why I had to ask. It even tricked me. Like
okay,
I was
that gives me a little bit more confidence, because I was like, "There's no way you can't tell that but she couldn't tell that the changeling was me. She thought I got somebody else to.
It made me question, so I think that's good. It shows that you do have a range, and that you do know how to put on a character and wear it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's good. But your voice,
time
your
even
own
before
natural
that.
narrator voice is awesome. So
I
like
you.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, somebody else a while ago came up to me and asked me to do a Bible reading. They were doing a dramatic reading of one of the nativity scenes in the Bible, and I narrated for that too.
That would be. I could see that happening. That would be. Yeah, I could see your voice being pretty good for that. It has an authority to it, but an approachable authority, if you will.
Thank you. Cordero, what were you about to say?
Why is the narrator giving dialogue tags and action instructions when we can see who's talking and what they're doing?
That's a question. I don't know. That's a question for Heather.
Because it's like the changeling, the changeling hesitates. Like, yeah, I can see the changeling doing that.
I think it was pulled off.
I can see Shining Armor putting his arms out.
I think it was pulled off a writing prompt on Tumblr. And somebody wrote this, and she just kind of animated it, even though it was being treated more like a dramatic reading.
Yeah, because it's like a dramatic reading, because you got to do like the novelization action lines and dialogue tags, but like, yeah, that just threw me off that there's like the changeling said, and I'm like, yeah, I can see you're talking.
And I've got one more clip for you, Lee, and tell me what you think about this.
Okay, a somber meeting.
Hello? Where am I? Who are you? Show yourself.
At last we meet face to face. Twilight Sparkle.
What do you want, Sombra? And that's Princess Twilight Sparkle to you.
Ah, yes. My apologies. I wasn't invited to your coronation. I must say, you wear your new wings well. Although your new title is hardly befitting of some pony of your stature.
What's that supposed to mean?
I meant no offense, my dear. I simply have to ask, why be a princess when you could be a queen?
Stop that there for now. What do you think about that one?
I'm going to let the others take this one first.
Okay.
Honestly, I loved Sombra, but not so much Twilight. Like, it was still good, don't get me wrong, but it felt slightly off.
Yeah, I can hear the affect that they're putting on your voice, but I mean it fits for Sombra. Yeah, I didn't like the Twilight. It sounded like excuse me, and like I didn't think that fit for.
I think part of that was
voice.
the characterization and the like. I think that was partly the writing, but something I was saying earlier was, I don't think the Brony fandom has very many like voice actors.
Right.
Like we, and this is horrible for me to say, but the 15.ai pony voices do a much better job at a lot of our than a lot of our voice actors, and that pains me to say.
Unfortunate.
And I know it's a horrible thing to say, but I think we're kind of weak on the voice acting front. So
I liked your Sombra, and I liked that you were trying to take your time with the takes to make him menacing. I think that it was a little bit too slow. You took a little bit too much time, and the dialogue pacing slowed down for me.
Okay.
But I liked the voice, and I liked the way you approached the voice.
Yeah, because at the time all we had to go off of was the Crystal Empire.
Yeah.
Mr. Tockar, what did you think about that?
I'm going to agree on everything I've just heard. I thought that she was a bit forced and a bit too, I mean, really, sorry, I just want to say, and then you've got this deep, menacing voice. But again, I think my colleague here is right. I think you took too much time, because you have to remember, when you speak, the tempo that you speak at will either suck everything into it, or it will elevate it.
Yeah.
So even if you're doing a deep, menacing voice, which I can, since I've been intubated last year, I can do these voices very well now. So I'm very happy about that. But you have to keep the pacing going. You got to keep, because if you slow down too much, it becomes a vortex, and all of the energy from the scene pulls down into it. But I thought your approach to the voice, again, I agree 100%. Your approach to the voice was great, very menacing. I don't know if there was any effect on it other than a reverb. Was there?
It was just a reverb. And
Yeah,
then when
that's
I
what a really good
voice.
the way that I tried to match the King Sombra from the Crystal Empire is I take a deep breath, and given that I've got a cold right now, this one might even be easier, but I just take a deep breath and I exhale the line. Yes. Crystals, like that kind of thing.
Yeah. So what I would recommend is, when you're doing that, because when you're exhaling, you have to inhale, but an editor would cut that out. So you have to do that voice and then begin the next sentence right after. So there's not that space of breathing in between, because that slows the pacing down and sucks the energy into it. It's a vortex, but the voice was good. It just needs editing. It needs to be clipped along faster.
And is that something I could have changed in my delivery then?
Yes, absolutely. Just
Okay.
take all the spacing out.
Yeah. All right. Cool. That's
Yeah, but the voice was great. Love the voice. Very
Thank you.
menacing. Just take the spacing out, because it's, you got to remember, cartoons they only happen within, well, I come from the old days where it was 22 minutes. And then it was 11 minutes. And then it was 3 minutes. And now we have quick animations that are on YouTube and Instagram and all this stuff that could be like, everybody can do it now because these programs are out there that can make these animations really quickly. And animators are getting very good at it, like Flash and all these things, and Toon Boom and all these things. But cartoons in general on TV means airtime. Airtime means sponsors. Sponsors means paying money per second. And animation, professional animation, costs a lot of money per second to make. So you don't have the luxury of really soaking up the scenery and chewing it up, as it were. You don't have that option. It's not early movies. It's, we're not watching, Laurence Olivier. We're watching cartoons that happen in quick time. Even though the voice is good, clip it along, because time is money. Animation is money. That's how you have to think of it.
It's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money.
A lot of money.
So
Yeah,
if you want to be
animation is very difficult.
professional about it, you have to keep time economics in mind when you're delivering. And the best way to do that is, like I said, imagine that little wave signature in your head, so that it's like a musicality. It's like jazz, man, but cut out all the in-between breaths.
All right. Well, thank you so much for that feedback.
Yeah, it was good.
So, that's all I had for the questions. Does anybody else have anything they wanna bring up, or should we wrap this stream up? We're a little bit over time.
Well, yeah, just one here. How like what are the chances of you even getting just one job in the industry?
That really depends on your stick-to-itiveness, I guess. You have to open yourself. You have to be at the right place at the right time, which means you have to be informed of where that right place is and who those people are that you need to talk to. You got to put in your due diligence. The phone isn't going to automatically just ring for you or for anybody. You got to be out there, and you've got to believe that you put in enough work and that you really want this. It's not going to happen for people that are just half-assing it. And I mean that. Don't half-ass it. If this is what you want, do it. If you're going to do it, go all in. Find out who the players are. Find out who the production companies are. Find out where the auditions are. Go on to Voice123 or voices.com or Voice Bunny even, and get your auditions that way. Pay your annual fee, and you'll have auditions sent to you every day in your inbox. So do that. Great start. Why not?
The one thing, Brony, the one thing I wanted to say is something that I've heard voice actors say many times, which is that voice acting is not voices, it's acting. The most important thing for you to do if you want to be a voice actor is to be good at acting. So if all you have is your voice, and again, your voice is a good one, if all you have is your voice, learn how to play a character really well with your voice and the range that you have that you're good at. Because there's a lot of people out there that'll be like, oh, I want to be a voice actor, I can do voices really well. And it's like, well, that's great that you can do a spot on Elmer Fudd. That's fantastic. Now do Elmer Fudd when he just found out his mother died. Oh, that's a lot harder. Yeah, because it's not the voice or the affectation that you're putting on your voice. It's the acting. That's what makes a voice come across as a character.
Yep.
No, makes sense. I always get
Alright.
upset when I hear people say, "Oh, you're a voice actor, so you're not a real actor." And I think to myself, well, you know what? I think voice actors have to be much more talented because you don't have a physical. You're not actually in a physical space. You're not occupying a physical space in the world. You have to become that character, based just and recreate that character inside somebody's head just with your voice. And if you're not able to do that, then you're not a real actor. So that's what I got to say about that.
For the little bit of voice acting I've done, I think voice acting is a lot more fun. There's not nearly the amount of pressure to hit the blocking or look good for the camera, things like. I don't need to worry about how I look, which is nice because I don't look very good. And
You got a
Hey,
face
I'm
for
still in my
radio.
pajamas, man.
I do.
So
I have a face for radio. It's a, but and with voice acting for the little bit that I've done, I like it a lot because I can be a lot more expressive. Where for the couple of times I acted for film, I had to really rein everything in and be very subtle, which I happen to have a little bit of difficulty grasping. So if I can act out and have an excuse for it, that works really well for me too.
well,
At least
very good.
that's what I've noticed so far. I don't know
Yeah.
if that's accurate. And I've only ever done it as a hobby, so I don't know
Well,
how good I am.
well, if this is something anybody that's listening or you really want to do, pay your annual fee, get on voices.com, voice123, voice bunny, get yourself a couple jobs, go out, let them send you. You'll fill out your forms that say what kind of range you're in, what accents you can do, and they'll send you auditions every day in your inbox, and make sure that you're up Eastern Standard Time so that you can compete with New York and Florida and like we're. And so I had to get up when I was doing it. I had to get up at like 6 a.m. to make a 9 because it was 9 o'clock where you guys are.
Oh man, my voice would
So
not sound right at 6 o'clock in the morning.
Well, this is what you got to do. Unless you do, it might because you already have a gravelly sounding voice. So I mean, at 6 a.m, I sound like I was ready to do truck ads. So like build Ford tough, that kind of stuff. So it's all ready. But anyway, it's there are ways of doing it. I recommend that as a good way in because you're getting auditions, and it is in lieu of an agent at that point.
All right. Well, thank you so much for sharing your experience with us, Lee. It's
My pleasure.
Yeah, I think it's been a great conversation. It's been a lot of stuff, and now I've got a professional's opinion on my own voice acting. So yeah,
Well, there you go. Well, I'm happy to help.
According to you, I'm a little bit better than I thought I was.
There you go.
Yep.
Yeah, I was originally. I did not want to.
Sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say I could do an excellent spot-on impression of my wife. Here, I'm going to do it right now. Hang on.
Oh boy.
Hi, everybody. My name is Carly and not Lee Tockar.
That was amazing.
Whoa.
World class.
Really, I had to really. Whew, that was tough. I had to really dig deep for that one.
Yeah, get some water. You gotta.
Woo.
Yeah.
I've got this one cartoon voice that Heather hates when I do it. I'm gonna try. I don't know if I can. But sometimes I just start doing this for absolutely no reason. And she punches me every time I do it. and I find that hilarious.
I would if I was in the room.
It's like Elmo.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yes, Elmo.
Kind of is Elmo, isn't it?
Elmo doesn't see no color. Elmo's colorblind.
Yeah, it's Elmo.
That's pretty good. It just Elmo-ish. Elmo-esquian.
Elmo-ish. That's a good way of putting it.
Elmo-esquian.
Yeah.
Anyway, listen, fellows. my sushi has just arrived, and my wife has just answered the door with it, and so I am going to go and eat because
Perfect
I have
timing.
not done that yet today. Not I
Oh,
had
goodness gracious.
not
Go
really.
do that.
I was editing my book, The Grim Possession of Chesterfield Couch.
Yeah, how's that coming along? Give us a
Self-promotion.
quick update on that before you go.
Great. I had 5 of my most intelligent editors and people here in the same room. They gave me some great feedback, and the next day I immediately tore out 29,000 words from the beginning of my book. So now I'm out of 280 pages. The first fantasy novel should be around 90 to 120 words, 20,000 words. And I am at 106,572 words and going strong, but I managed to meet today's goal was 100 pages, finished and reconstructed, Frankenlined back together. So I'm at page 105 of 280, and then I give it to my next editor and stand by. I mean, I can't say anything more. And go to my page on Facebook, The Grim Possession, and follow and tell the world, Johnny, tell the world.
Can I get the book on Kindle or?
Well, I got
how do
to
we
make
read
it first.
Well, yeah, I mean, when it comes out.
Well,
what platforms will it be on?
I have no idea. I'm just making it right now. I'm going to go for an agent. I have my friend Sherry Fowler is my convention agent, and she's going to help me try and find another literary agent for me, and then they'll talk to the to the publishers that I want to handpick, because I don't want to do it vanity press. I'm not going to just make a run of books and sell them. I could, but I want to do it the proper way, like a proper publishing house. So Random House or Bloomsbury Press or something like that. I really want a Booker Prize. So I want Bloomsbury Press out of the UK. So I want a Booker Prize, which is out of the UK. It has to be published. And it's your first novel. It's the Booker Prize is an award for your first best work. So that's my goal.
All right. Well, we're looking forward to it, man. Keep us posted.
I will. And thanks for having me back on the show. And, like I said in my retweet today, I like working with you guys. And if you want to do another debate about BIPOC and stuff, I'd be down for that, because that's a whole other issue altogether.
Yeah. And
let's all get canceled together.
If anyone's going to get canceled here, it's me.
No, there's
and they
there's
haven't
nothing
done it yet.
Be careful, Brony, because Babscon canceled me.
There you go. But there's nothing politically charged about it. It shouldn't be. It should just come down to talent. But we could talk about that another time.
Yep.
Indeed. All right, so thanks to everybody who tuned in. I hope you enjoyed the show, and thanks to everybody who supports the channel, especially the $10 and up tier. Princess Heather Blossom, who I'm sure has a spicy punch waiting for me as soon as I get off this session. Shady Oak Ministries, Sid McConroy, Autoknight, Emerald Spencer, who might also punch me because he's also in the room. Senko, DJ Skywalker, Rein-Kun, Pony.
I'm on my way.
The handsome and honorable Pony Cordero, greatest author of the first Equestria Girl, Esquire the Fifth. QFlash, Billy Henline, Alden, MacManx, EasyModeGamer, Kanto Acrylic, VA, Mr. Sonic 31, Rich the Hedgehog, Alicia Lynette, Zeta Z, Sniper Nighter, Calbeck, StarChaser, VentureCorp, and Dark Malcontent, and executive producer of Titan Art Studios. Go check out all their links in the description and go buy Lee's book when it comes out.
Well, go to join my page on Facebook.
Yes, do that. That you can do immediately. And we'll see you in a few minutes on Princess Heather Blossom's channel for Chaos and Crochet, where we're just going to be hanging out. Not me, though. I'm going straight to bed because I didn't freaking sleep last night. Have a wonderful night. Stay safe. God bless. Say good night, everybody.
Good night,
everybody.
Good night, everybody.